You're listening to Love, Guns and Freedom with Luca Zanna on United States.fm network. Here we go, guys. You're listening to Love, Guns and Freedom with Luca Zanna, second hour. It's all about guns and rights, and of course training. Before we start into the training part, it's going to be the final part of the hour, at least some training ideas. I would like to bring something that is very important. We talk about the Second Amendment this hour. We're talking about gun rights. Sometimes we forget that we've been almost, I don't want to say almost, we've been brainwashed. We've been almost trained like little puppies, slowly, to accept new reality. The reality that just because the government says something, let's say, for example, right now, the right of the people to keep bear arms shall not be infringed. But why not maybe we can infringe a little bit if we remove that type of length out of your rifle? Let's say you are short 1 inch less than what we say, you become a felon. There is a very important part of legislation, was the 1934 National Firearm Act, that unfortunately it is not a joke. It is real. Many people spent our time in federal prison, and people can say whatever they want. You know, we can say it's the law, that's fine, but what is the supreme law of the land? What if our judicial system is corrupt? What is the Supreme Court? After all, they're just a bunch of human beings, can be corrupted. I think we passed the stage. Now, today I have with me a friend, a brother in arms, and also a brother in freedom, Wesley. You know, we met at the Bundys not that long ago, and at that point, the situation evolves. Things are continuing, and I heard the news, this is now pretty much everywhere on the internet, that there is one of the other guys, one of these brothers who stood at the Bundys in this peaceful protest to expose this federal government abuse, unfortunately now is spending our time, at least he's been arrested, and is being detained with no bail for some charges. I don't know much about this, but I would like to know more. And the person that's going to help me out is Eric Parker from Idaho, the 3%. Eric, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Nice to meet you again, Eric. And just briefly, remind us a little bit, everybody, where we met, when we met, and also this man, this patriot, Mr. Barbeau, that now is rotting in jail, or at least in prison. A little bit about him. I don't remember him, honestly. I met you in person, but I know he was there too. Tell me a little bit, remind to our listener what happened.
So Schuyler was, he was actually Bundy's personal security. So he wasn't out on the line or anything like that. He was back protecting Cliven.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that he was targeted for that.
And his name is Schuyler Barbeau, right?
Yeah, Schuyler Barbeau.
Okay.
I didn't meet him at the ranch. I was only there for 2 days, I met him after the ranch when we all gathered again in Oregon.
Okay.
That's where I actually met him, got to shake his hand and got to know him. And he's a good man. He's a Marine veteran, and he's just a good man.
Okay, let me play a little bit.
It bothers me that he's locked up.
Let me play a little bit devil's advocate, okay? Because I'm sure there are a lot of good men out there, but unfortunately, sometimes it doesn't take much today to break the law. There are so many laws that you don't even know.
Mm-hmm.
You break a law, you're still a good man. But after all, we're supposed to be based upon, under the rule of law. Of course, just for us, the politicians don't apply these laws. Hillary can do whatever she wants, and so Obama. That's another story. Now, what exactly happened? I have a little clip here from K5 News, okay? First of all, let's remind our listener, but Mr. Barbeau, from which state is he from originally?
I believe it's from Washington.
Yes, Washington State. Let me play this little short K5 News, okay, that even I don't trust very much the news, but at least there is a little bit of an overview, and then we can a little bit interact about some more information. Let me play right now. Stay there.
Washington. This is King 5 News.
He's defending people.
in defending people's rights as citizens.
The family of a Stanwood man accused of having ties with domestic terrorism comes to his defense after he's brought before a federal judge on weapons violations. That federal judge declined to release Schuyler Barbeau today after a U.S. attorney argued he made threats against law enforcement officers and may be in possession of explosives.
King 5's Alyssa Hahn was in court today and joins us live with what his family had to say. Alyssa.
Dennis and Lori, this is the young man the FBI first mentioned last Friday because of his alleged ties to domestic terrorism. He is accused of weapons charges for right now, but the FBI actually believes that he's planning some sort of retaliation against law enforcement. Schuyler Barbeau's mother and brother walked out of the federal courthouse in Seattle to join others who showed up to support him, all of them under the careful watch of a beefed-up security detail as the hearing for Barbeau played out on the 18th floor.
I raised him, and he has very strong, very strong principles, and he's out to fight against something that is way bigger than he is, and I am very proud of him. That's all I can say. I'm so proud of him.
We have our rights and stuff, and that's what we want is freedom and liberty.
This is video of Barbeau from his Facebook page, an advocate of the militia in Bundy last year during an armed standoff with authorities when the feds tried to enforce grazing fees on government-owned property.
Basically what Schuyler realized is, wow, my government is going to violate constitutional rights, and they're eventually going to shoot. I better be prepared.
The FBI eventually arrested Barbeau for illegally possessing an assault rifle that, because of its short barrel, required a federal firearms registration. But authorities believe he poses a much greater danger. Today, the assistant U.S. attorney told the judge that Barbeau was trying to buy a .50 caliber rifle that would be, quote, advantageous in a shootout with law enforcement, and that he was seen in photos posing next to explosives that federal agents have yet to locate. This is what the FBI said about him last Friday.
We recently arrested an individual on a domestic terrorism charge, and that has caused us some concerns in the sense that are his followers or his friends, how are they going to react?
But his family says Barbeau is just trying to protect the rights of his fellow citizens and sometimes gets caught up in inflammatory rhetoric.
He gets pretty emotional, I think, when things are happening, injustices are happening around him, and he tends to say some things that maybe I wouldn't say. But I don't believe at all there's any part of him that is out to start anything with anybody.
Barbeau's family insists he loves his country. He served in the Marines and the National Guard and was honorably discharged. His next hearing is a week from today. Reporting live in Seattle, Alyssa Hahn, King 5 News.
Thanks, Alyssa.
Okay, Eric, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, this is pretty much the mainstream news. You know, they give both sides. Now, since you were there, I remember, by the way, now the guy. I saw the face. I didn't talk to him, but I remember his person when I went inside the ranch to meet Mr. Bundy. Now, what do you know, first of all, beside what we heard from the news, beside what we may think, you know, because I don't know the guy. I can say from outside, yeah, he looks like a great guy. But what this really discourages me, what really make me freak out about coming from the FBI's mouth, forget about the charges that, you know, they are real charges that we can discuss after about that if really we believe that they are constitutional or not. The 1934 Firearm Act, just because you have a rifle, your barrel, it's like half-inch smaller, you become a felon. That's kind of ridiculous, you know. But before we go there, now they believe that is domestic terrorist. Just believe. I mean, this is not about faith. This is not about believing in religion. This is about believing that something, just because suspected. Do you may believe, talking about beliefs, that maybe the FBI now is enforcing the part of the National Defense Authorization Act of 2012 of indefinite detention? All they need to do is suspect you to be a terrorist, and they can throw you in jail forever. Do you believe that maybe that's what's happening here, first of all?
I do. I really do.
Yeah.
That's the most concerning part to me, is the rhetoric coming from the FBI.
Mm-hmm.
I have to, I mean, it begs the question, who are the terrorists he's tied to, you know? Is that all of us that were at the ranch, all of us that were in Oregon at the mine? You know, when we got to the mine in Oregon, we took over vetting for any volunteers that came in. We, the 3% of Idaho.
Mm-hmm.
And we vetted everybody that came to volunteer their time and service. And we met with and talked to everybody, and there were certain people that we asked to leave. Whether they didn't vet out, whether they just gave us a weird feeling, we wanted to make sure that we were doing our best to make sure that we didn't have any loose cannons
Can you remind
on our side.
Eric, can you remind to the listeners when you say Oregon, I know what you're talking about, which situation Oregon? Because there was something maybe many listeners may not know, please.
Okay. There was a miner in Oregon who needed help. The sheriff wouldn't help him. The BLM gave him a time where he had to comply with a surface plan. His claim said that he did not have to. It was such an old claim, he didn't have to abide by those policies. They said if he didn't get a surface plan, they were going to come take his cabin and take his equipment. He went to the Oath Keepers and asked for help. The Oath Keepers looked at the case and put security on the mine. They then asked for help. We went over as the 3% of Idaho, drove over with a few of us and helped them run a 15-day mission up to that deadline where we held his mine.
Yes, so at least people know what's going on. Why Oregon? You were there like helping out like you did with the Bundys. That's the bottom line. Okay, perfect. So go ahead, please continue.
So what we did was vet everybody that came in. We met them, we talked to them. We made sure that there wasn't anybody there that was looking to do anything that the FBI is talking about right now. Any explosives, any insanity. We looked at everybody coming in, and Schuyler didn't get asked to leave. Schuyler isn't a loose cannon. He does talk big, and I always kind of put that off as shock value. I think he liked bringing people out of their slumber. He would say something that was a little extreme, or people might consider extreme.
You know what is
but
funny?
He would do that to get them. Yeah, he would do that to get them thinking.
Eric, they should put
outside of their natural box.
The federal government should put in jail probably the imam of every mosque in America, or at least most of them. Okay, I mean, if we're talking about extreme, there is so much extreme talk. It's still freedom of speech somehow, unless you really specifically say the specific threat against somebody. That's different, of course. So I don't know.
It didn't happen. It was all taken out of context. Everything the judges read from his statements were taken out of context.
Okay.
He isn't, I've never seen or heard him talking about explosives or anything like that, So it's scary that they're using his First Amendment against him, and it seems like they're trying to build a case for, like you said, the NDAA, a possible domestic terrorist. All they have to do is think.
What is the evidence? What is the evidence? I mean, that's for me the most. Besides that, this Homeland Security or FBI spokesperson there, the director of the area of Washington said, "We believe." Okay, show me the evidence. I mean, after all, everybody should have a bail, and unless you don't have it, it must be a really, really serious crime. So far, nobody got harmed, nobody died, and we don't have any evidence beside, for what we know, allegedly, I don't know for sure, that there was a weapon that they call assault weapon, whatever. The point is, it was a rifle, semi-automatic rifle with a barrel. Instead of being 16 inches, probably was 14 inches or 15 inches. 1 inch less, and you become a felon unless you have this magic stamp from the ATF, okay? That's the real crime here that supposedly we're supposed to believe. But beside that, I don't know.
That's the only specific crime, but they seem to be veering away from that and really taking the rhetoric towards domestic terrorism. That worries me a lot as far as, who are these domestic terrorists he has ties to, is it the Bundys? Is it the people that came and stood up for the Bundys or that went and stood up for Rick, the miner in Oregon? And that seems like that's what they're trying to paint a picture of. So, I would like to take this time to really tell everybody, hey, especially leaders out there in the movement, be smart. You really have to pay attention. I think they're going for setting people up. Make sure you know who your friends are, and make sure you're not doing anything. Because I really do think that they're starting to push this NDAA thing, and we all know each other out there. So if they start to try to call it ties to domestic terrorism or whatever, there's all obviously open ties to each other out there.
Yeah, it's time to really be in contact with each other, because I tell you, according to the National Defense Authorization Act that was signed in 2012 by Mr. Obama, and of course renewed the last 2 years, I mean, the clause of the indefinite detention means that you can disappear. You don't have any access to judge, jury, lawyer. You can just disappear forever. And this is exactly what happened in many other countries in the past, and even now can happen, but like North Korea, okay? So we are not that different anymore. This is now being legislated. So, and let me remind you, we have Senator Reid a couple years ago during the time of the standoff. He went out and he decided to call us completely domestic terrorists just because we were there exercising our First Amendment and supporting the rights of this rancher. I mean, let me play one second.
Good one. So these people who hold themselves out to be patriots are not. They're nothing more than domestic terrorists. And I think that we are a country that people should follow the law. And what went up in Mesquite is not very good. I repeat, what went on up there is domestic tourism. Okay, domestic terrorism, not tourism.
So I wouldn't be surprised all the different branches of the federal government have been ordered that we are already labeled as a domestic terrorist. Now, do you have any direct contact with the family of Mr. Barbeau? Did you have a chance to talk to anybody in contact with him?
No, just on Facebook. I don't have any direct contact with any of his family.
Because I like to know more about what's going on exactly with the case. Some evidence must be somehow being put out. I don't know. Tell me. Go ahead.
So what we did was pay to get access to a database that lawyers access about federal cases. I forget the name of it, what it's called. But we looked at that, and wasn't much information there. What we do know right now that came up today, I believe, is that the warrants that were served to Allen's house, which is the house that Schuyler was staying at, the house that they used, that they flashbanged and broke all the windows and everything. Schuyler wasn't even there. They hit him in a separate raid.
Here we go, guys. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna. Something very weird happened. I was doing this interview with my friend Eric Parker from Idaho. And out of the blue, I heard a little beep through Skype. I don't know if you catch it on the recording. This was a recorded interview. Then I saved the file. Everything looks good. By the way, this interview is recorded. And so I was recording the interview with Eric. The morning after, I come back to the studio, and the file was shrunk in two, and the part when the rest of this part of the interview that now supposed to be playing was gone. I don't know, guys. I mean, I'm sure it's just something technical. Sometimes things happen, computers, I don't know. But I know that's very weird. We had another 25 minutes interview with Eric Parker from the 3%ers of Idaho that unfortunately I cannot play because it disappeared out of my computer. Who knows? But the show doesn't stop. We'll continue. I'll pretty much now play a part of this story, this interesting, dramatic story with this gentleman, with this alleged domestic terrorist, okay? No bail for this oathkeeper. And let's play 1 second this mainstream King 5 news, I think out of his state. Stay there. Let's play 1 second.
Washington. This is King 5 News.
He's defending people and defending people's rights and citizens.
The family of a Stanwood man accused of having ties with domestic terrorism comes to his defense after he's brought before a federal judge on weapons violations. That federal judge declined to release Schuyler Barbeau today after a U.S. attorney argued he made threats against law enforcement officers and may be in possession of explosives.
King 5's Alyssa Hahn was in court today and joins us live with what his family had to say. Alyssa.
Dennis and Lori, this is the young man the FBI first mentioned last Friday because of his alleged ties to domestic terrorism. He is accused of weapons charges for right now, but the FBI actually believes that he's planning some sort of retaliation against law enforcement. Schuyler Barbeau's mother and brother walked out of the federal courthouse in Seattle to join others who showed up to support him, all of them under the careful watch of a beefed-up security detail as the hearing for Barbeau played out on the 18th floor.
I raised him, and he has very strong, very strong principles, and he's out to fight against something that is way bigger than he is, and I am very proud of him. That's all I can say. I'm so proud of him.
We have our rights and stuff, and that's what we want is freedom and liberty.
This is video of Barbeau from his Facebook page, an advocate of the militia in Bundy last year during an armed standoff with authorities when the feds tried to enforce grazing fees on government-owned property.
Basically what Schuyler realized is, wow, my government is going to violate constitutional rights, and they're eventually going to shoot. I better be prepared.
The FBI eventually arrested Barbeau for illegally possessing an assault rifle that, because of its short barrel, required a federal firearms registration. But authorities believe he poses a much greater danger. Today, the assistant U.S. attorney told the judge that Barbeau was trying to buy a .50 caliber rifle that would be, quote, advantageous in a shootout with law enforcement, and that he was seen in photos posing next to explosives that federal agents have yet to locate. This is what the FBI said about him last Friday.
We recently arrested an individual on a domestic terrorism charge, and that has caused us some concerns in the sense that are his followers or his friends, how are they going to react?
But his family says Barbeau is just trying to protect the rights of his fellow citizens and sometimes gets caught up in inflammatory rhetoric.
He gets pretty emotional, I think, when things are happening, injustices are happening around him, and he tends to say some things that maybe I wouldn't say. But I don't believe at all there's any part of him that is out to start anything with anybody.
Barbeau's family insists he loves his country. He served in the Marines and the National Guard and was honorably discharged. His next hearing is a week from today.
Here we go, guys. You know, this is very disturbing because, first of all, right now we have a man that for what the only charges really could prove, and we don't know yet for sure. I mean, this is not being a trial yet. This is just charges. So for me, everybody's innocent until proven guilty. This is just what the FBI is telling us, that because it was found with a rifle, and they want to make it demonized like an assault weapon. They arrest him because of an assault weapon. Then they specify, because at the barrel, not conform, not long enough, think about it, to comply with the 1934 National Firearms Act. That means, let me spell it out. 1934, United States government, it started really to mess up with the Second Amendment and started to do unconstitutional things. And they think what they did, they started to tax a right, tax the Second Amendment. That means, with the excuse of fighting the mafia and all this, shooting with the machine guns, submachine guns, like the typical Thompson and shot, when you got shotguns with the barrels cut, things like that, they had to make this stupid law very unconstitutional, and I'll tell you why. Even I'm a guy with an accent, and I'm not a lawyer, I'm not judge. I tell you, I can read the Constitution, I can read what is unconstitutional. That if you have, for example, the barrel of a rifle less than 16 inches, 16. When you are 16 inches, your rifle, you're okay. You're okay, citizen. Pay your taxes, be a good slave, you're okay. But if your rifle is 15.5 inches, that means half inch less, or 15 inches to make it easier, but doesn't matter, 15 enough would be enough, you become a felon if you don't pay this stamp, this tax, is the $200 stamp tax, that in 1934 was a lot of money, because that would be somehow try to curb the appetite for the poor people to have the right to self-defense with maybe a shorter barrel, maybe with a full automatic weapon. So that's the point. Now, the only charge we really have, supposedly, from the federal government, that this man was found in possession of a weapon not complying with this 16 inches rifle barrel, okay? So now automatically you become a felon. But look at the media, how they're spinning it. He was arrested because of the assault weapon, and then comma, space, pause, and then we go. They tell you also this little detail. That, by the way, for me, that's an insult. And I don't understand how America, since 1934, didn't revolt, didn't stop, didn't call Congress and say, what have you done, you pack of rats, liars? The Second Amendment cannot be taxed, shouldn't be taxed. This is unconstitutional. I tell you why. You know very well that when they try to enforce in the past laws to vote, when you vote, you must have an ID. Guess what? Just because you don't have an ID, they say that I cannot afford an ID. People maybe cannot afford an ID. If they cannot afford an ID, they're supposed to pay for an ID to prove that there is no voter fraud. That's unconstitutional. Because that's the right. Guess what? This is a right too. The Second Amendment is a right. I shouldn't pay a tax. And, if I don't pay the tax, the federal government, now, for the federal government, I become a felon. And I can spend 5 years in federal jail. I mean, prison. This is insane. So, this is the point. But the funny, not funny, the very disturbing thing now, this man is held in jail with no bail. And just because somebody in the federal government suspects, I want to see the evidence. What is the evidence? So just because we have to believe their words, I mean, no bail. I don't even think if you do a bank robbery, you still have bail. Child offender, like sex offender, they got bail. What have this man done? And this is insane. I really believe we start to see here an application of the National Defense Authorization Act 2012, the clause that Obama wanted so much. Of course, that bastard, I hope he can hear me, and all Congress who voted for, these bastards, traitors, that now any one of us, just because we can be suspected with no jury, no trial, no due process, to be domestic terrorists, that we know now the definition according to Homeland Security and all the different agencies the last 10 years at least, if you are a gun owner, if you believe in the Constitution, if you are a veteran, if you're a Christian, if you don't like global government, if you don't like these freaking bastard communists out there of the United Nations, hope they can hear me too, you now become a domestic terrorist. That you understand that. That's what it's about. This is like this SS during Hitler were created to go after their own people. Okay? So that's the situation, guys. This is a very alarming situation. I'm sorry, Eric, Parker, you're listening probably. Our interview, I don't know what happened. I don't know. I want to just believe maybe my computer got crazy, but it's kind of scary to think that I remember 3 years ago, there were several attempts that I also put on YouTube, and people can find my YouTube channel, where I was able to see visually attempts of infiltration from IP address that belongs to the, at least for what the IP address was, according to the IP address reverse search, to the Department of Defense, San Antonio, Texas. I got them on video. So I'm not surprised this computer, probably they're having a lot of big fun time spying illegally, unconstitutionally in my computer. I wouldn't be surprised. Okay? So if something happens, maybe they find some love letter that I wrote to Osama bin Laden, you know what happened. That's not me. Okay? So that's all I can say. I would like to pray for this man. I always believe that anybody is innocent until proven guilty. That's the way it's supposed to be. I believe the National Firearm Authorization Act of NFA from 1934 is a pack of treason. That's all the best I can say on the air, because I'm really mad today. And I believe now it's time to prepare, to communicate with each other, to know really well each other, because people start to disappear. I tell you something, go check it out, Pinochet. That was also propped up by the CIA in Argentina, in Chile. They used to call him the White Death. people disappearing, 20,000 people disappearing, political dissidents, or just people who doesn't, kiss ass to the government at the time of this dictator, disappearing. In the middle of the night, boom, gone. Not due process, nothing. This is exactly now the America we're living in. And for you, lefty, if you think, you must be really deserving that, guess what? You're next. Whether now you're going to have the next Republican president doesn't make any big of a pink of a difference anyway. They're going to come after you too. Just because you disagree with the government. Just because you don't maybe like the war. These endless unconstitutional wars. You're going to be on that list too. Don't worry, don't you think because this is your guy. This guy doesn't give a damn about you. Baba couldn't care less about you, Democrat. This man, he doesn't have allegiance to none of us. The only allegiance, the powers we're serving, they're way above us. We are not part of that club, my friends. And they want to try to put us against each other. Wake up. Everybody deserves due process. Okay? Nobody's supposed to disappear in the middle of the night just because some freaking bureaucrat wannabe thug with a uniform and a badge can tell you that I suspect that you're a terrorist. Because maybe he was, raised in a brainwashed family where now is already in his mindset, these people, they belong to a new America with a K. No, we got to wake up. We got to stand up. I don't care if you're Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, everybody deserves due process. And government should have never had that type of unlimited power to put us in jail just because on suspicious and endless, completely infinite, that endless detention. How you want to say? I'm getting excited. I'm getting tired here. So anyway, that's the hour about Second Amendment. So all I want to say, please, when you listen to the news, always analyze with your brain. Not mine, not the TV, your brain. National Firearm Acts 1934, go find out. Something you should know. They've been taxing us on one right, what's supposed to be our right. A good person, a working man, a person who never commit any crime, just because that weapon can be half inch shorter than what the gods, our overlords in government told us. You become a bad person, you can become a felon. Your gun rights gone. Your liberty is gone. So this is a very serious matter. On top, now I'm very concerned about this Mr. Barbeau. We need to keep our ears open, pray for him and his family. And I still want to believe that somehow what is left of this system, we need to give a chance to the family and the attorney to ask and demand evidence and bring more facts. And then we will talk more about it. Now, this is the hour about guns. Believe it or not, even we've been talking about guns. I would like to talk today about training, some ideas for our mind, and also some news. There is so much going on. Before we go into the news, I like to talk about the training part. I have my little book coming out, and I want to thank my friends who are reading the draft version. I appreciate your help. The book should be ready probably in a month or so. It's going to be an ebook. It's called Handgun Training for Self-Defense, Volume 1, okay? How to Shoot Any Handgun Fast and Accurately for Self-Defense with a Combat Mindset by Luca Zanna. Who am I to write a book? No, I'm not an instructor, no. I'm not one of these super famous shooters. No, I'm just a regular guy. But I am what I call myself a professional firearm student. Yes, I'm very professional when it comes to that. I've been dedicating myself the last years, at least the last 10 years, to study, to apply myself. This is not just study on books, okay? I really try to go hands-on practice through other people that they know more than me, try to get the best I can in everything when it comes down to firearms. Why? Is that a hobby? No. Do I hunt? No. Is it for self-defense? Maybe a little bit, but not really. I mean, I said 2x4, I can take care of a lot of business, even just with my a couple of rocks in my hand. But of course, the Glock is better. The reason why, because I really believe the Second Amendment is a serious matter for me. And I understand it. I appreciate it. I didn't have it when I was in Italy. I have it now. And I treasure every comma, every letter, every syllable of the Second Amendment. So I want to try to exercise it not just philosophically, but also practically. And the reason why, because I really believe we are in danger as humanity, as a free Americans. We are not free anymore. And now from this soft tyranny, I really believe they're coming down to a different type of hardcore tyranny. So it's time to prepare in every way. I'm not advocating for violence. I'm a peaceful man, but at the same time, I'm not your freaking slave. So this book is about handgun. And as I said many times, the handgun is not the main tool to defend freedom, but normally is a tool that you can carry with you every time, any time of the day. And with that gun, you can run and you can fight your way to the rifle. That's why I carry handgun. That's it. Now, in this book that you will see pretty soon on Amazon, and you can go if you want, meanwhile, join my newsletter, handguntraining.tv, www.handguntraining.tv. Join my newsletter there, and I'll send you the email when the book is going to be available. It will be available for a very great price. If I could do for free, I would do it free, honestly. But, I have to eat 3 times a day, too. And it took me a lot of time to put it together. So, anyway, it's going to be for $2.99. In ebook format. It's going to be more than 120 pages with photos. And what is about this book? It's mostly everything I learned, the curriculum that I learned at Front Sight, Nevada. And I want to be sure people understand, I am not a Front Sight representative. I do not work for Front Sight. I'm not a Front Sight instructor. But I am a person who privately, as a life member, I'm probably one of the highest level of life membership, as a patron of Front Sight. I attended many, many times, almost all the classes, and especially when they come down to the handgun training, I distinguish every class the last few years, distinguished graduate. At least I can say I studied their curriculum pretty well, and I can perform it on demand. Now, doesn't mean that I'm going to be the Front Sight spokesperson at all. This is just me, what I learned, what went through my brain, what I assimilated, and also what I came out with my other input. But still, my purpose was to create this foundation for a very affordable price for $2.99 for people maybe cannot afford to join Front Sight. I mean, Diamond membership, if you go to see the Diamond membership on frontsight.com, the membership lifetime costs you $15,000. Not everybody can afford that. Or maybe, $2,000 for 4-day class is too much. Guess what? I'm going to help you out. I want to give at least the information, what I learned for the price of a coffee. Now, that's the bottom line. Said that, I'm going to start also to share with you, with my listeners, a part of my book, Handgun Training for Self-Defense. So at least you can get an idea. And there are different parts. This is no more just than shooting, okay? And don't get me wrong. You may have your own way, your system. This is focusing on the 4-day handgun training curriculum, the Front Sight. But I tell you, that is, according to my experience, is one of the most beautiful and complete curriculum that you can get for handgun training. And it's more than just the practical part to shooting. There is also a lot of information that comes before the shooting, mindset, and also legal, and also civil liability, and different other things. Today I wanted to touch, for example, I already touched in the past the color code of mental awareness, and probably we should touch it again. We talk about the combat mindset already. I would like to talk to you today about the moral and mental decision to use deadly force. Because that's probably is going to be one of the most important things. We are not here after all the barbarians. We don't live in the middle still of Mad Max. So on top as human beings, law-abiding people, decent people, you cannot just justify yourself and to God and to the law that you can shoot anything moves or anything that just probably you think. No, you must be very sure when you pull the trigger. For yourself, for your soul, for your morals, and also, of course, for the law. So it's important. But that process must be thought and must be, you must think about that now. Because then you must have already cleared the situation in your mind if you can do that or not. Let me tell you, I am not a lawyer. I'm not a judge. I'm just a person who studied this stuff, and I tell you what I learned. So that's a little bit of a personal, let's put it this way, warning, okay? So if you want to go talk to a lawyer. I tell you pretty much what's going on. So anyway, carrying a gun is not for everybody. It is a huge responsibility, and you must do it also with the right knowledge. That's the bottom line. Now, the first question you should ask yourself, am I able and willing to kill another human being if I have no other choice to save my life or the one of an innocent person? Many people probably you think you can, but not everybody can. People may freeze. People still, even they see that somebody's killing somebody else, they may not pull the trigger, squeeze the trigger, excuse me. So it's something you must, first of all, clear your mind right now. Believe it or not, many people may be thinking too much. So that's why you must make this decision now. Now, remember something, I do not carry a gun to kill. No, I don't like to kill. Who likes to kill? I mean, only if you're a freak psychopath you like to kill. Okay? I don't care. I don't even like to kill an animal unless I have to defend myself, or maybe because I'm starving. But I don't like to kill anybody. But I carry a gun to save life or to stop a threat. That's our mindset where it should be. That's the bottom line. So, but I already made that moral decision a long time ago, before even I started to carry my gun. Okay? So you need to make your decision right now. Are you able to kill another human being if you have to, in a situation of self-defense? Of course, with all the moral legal justifications. Okay. Now let's go a little bit to see exactly how you can justify morally and ethically when you can use deadly force. Let me tell you something. Every state, every part of the world had different laws. Okay. Thanks God, because I tell you, I don't like to be under one global universal law. That would be scary. Some countries, some states are better. That's why I live in Arizona. That's why I don't live in Italy. Or I don't live in California. Okay? I still have the right to defend my life. Okay? But where is exactly the line? So let's start to analyze 1 second. First of all, let's see. You must understand the words moral and ethical, and the mental decision to use deadly force. According to the Webster Dictionary, for example, the definition of moral means based on what you think is right and good. That's moral. You're moral. Everybody has different morals. Also, the Webster Dictionary says the definition of ethical: following accepted rules of behavior, morally right and good. So these are rules of behavior probably set by the society around us. So ethical is different than moral. Deadly force means force causing or enabling to cause death. So, let's put it in this way. You must understand that there is not a universal law, but there is for sure some general concept how we can use deadly force. And I give you right now the parameters. First of all, the universal justification that you can use deadly force is when there is a reasonable fear of immediate or unavoidable danger of death or serious bodily injury to an innocent person. Let's look at these words. Reasonable means fair. Is your action going to be reasonable to 12 people of your peers when you go in front of a jury? You must be reasonable. You can be crazy, okay? So, a reasonable fear, you must have a reasonable fear of immediate. It's happening now. Do not confuse it with imminent. That means it's going to happen pretty soon. Big difference. Okay? So it must be an immediate threat. Okay? Unavoidable. That means you cannot be avoided, cannot be prevented. Our goal is always to avoid a confrontation. Good gun owners don't want to be in a confrontation. They understand the responsibility they carry. I mean, guess what? I carry a gun. I've never been in a gunfight. I've never been, of course, in a fist fight. I try to avoid confrontation. If somebody's jerk, I say, okay, whatever, see ya. Put your macho ego aside. When you carry the gun, you have much more responsibility. But we are not victims. That's the bottom line. Let's keep going. Unavoidable. So, remember, in some states, still you have the opportunity and the right to stand your ground. Okay? You don't have to run. I always suggest if you can avoid it's better, but you don't have to run. Then, we're saying a reasonable fear of immediate or unavoidable danger of death or seriously bodily injury. Death, we know, is at the end of life. Innocent, who is the innocent? Somebody is not guilty of a crime. Okay, so it does not deserve to be harmed. So when you decide to defend somebody with deadly force, be sure that he's not a criminal, okay? That's the bottom line. And seriously bodily injury means that something that could be permanently damage you. Somebody give you a slap on your face, that's not a seriously bodily injury, okay? Or if you spit on your face, that's not justify the type of reaction. So that's the bottom line. These are the elements. Now let's look a little bit about reasonable intent, opportunity. So for example, how do we know that our fear of this immediate danger of death or seriously bodily danger, as I said, is reasonable? You know, you have three elements to verify that somebody has reasonable, you have reasonable danger. First of all, the intent. The attack must show you with actions or words his or her intention to kill or to cause seriously bodily injury. So it must be an intent. Okay? Opportunity. The attacker must have the capability to inflict immediate harm. How? With firearms, could be with hands, with objects. Of course, there is also what type of distance. You know, with the empty hands, the distance could be much closer. By somebody shooting at you with a rifle, even 200 yards, yeah, that could be justifiable, the distance. Because 200 yards with a rifle, you can be hit. They can hit you, they can harm you, they can kill you. The ability. Does the attacker possess the physical power or ability to do that? But what if you are not facing, for example, an attacker without weapons? It's all relative. Let's say if you are a woman and you have to face a 300-pound man, yeah, he can kill you with empty hands. That would be justifiable. What if you are a person with a handicap, or if you are an older man on a wheelchair? Yeah, even if somebody's trying to attack you with empty hands, that would be justifiable. But as I said, okay, you articulate, can be reasonable. Okay, so that's the bottom line. That's the bottom line. Let's put it this way: as a general rule, if you have any doubt about using deadly force, 90% of the situations you should not use it. That's the bottom line. If you still have any doubt, means you probably shouldn't use it. Think about it. But you know that if there is no more any type of doubt, because, you know, I'm going to be dying in the next few seconds, maybe now, if I don't do something, you don't care anymore about thinking the potential, you know, civil or criminal consequences, because your life is more important. At that point, it's your call. So how can we avoid? Because I always believe the best thing to do in a gunfight is to avoid it. Because after all, if we were aware enough of our surroundings, we would never put ourselves in that situation. If we come to a point that we need to defend our life or the innocent's life, because probably we were aware enough and we let it slide all this too close to that point. So awareness is very important. So we always should be vigilant, and the color of mental awareness, they're very important. And I told you already, if you don't remember, send me a link, I'll send you eventually this free chapter as a gift. You can go to lovegunsfreedom.com, send me the link, send me an email, say, please, Luca, can you send me the chapter of the colors of mental awareness, and I'll send it to you. It's free, as my gift, okay? Because you're my listener. Anyway, and the bottom line is we should be always in condition yellow. So in this way, we could see the fight coming to us, and we can avoid it. Because remember, the best fight is the one we can avoid. Number 2, de-escalation. You know, we always should try to de-escalate the situation. There is a saying, an armed society is a polite society. I really believe that. If you're an abiding citizen and you're armed, normally they are very polite people. If you're a scumbag, of course, you're a jerk no matter with or without a gun. So, when we understand the responsibility that we have as the gun owners, we always try to avoid the confrontation. Let's say somebody, I don't know, you go to the parking lot, and somebody is coming and trying to be a jerk, get your space, whatever, get your space and move on. Or, avoid it. It's not worth it. I mean, if they're jerks, they're jerks. Karma is going to get it back at them, okay? You know, that's the bottom line. I never want to be in a fight unless really you put me with the shoulder on the wall and I have no other way, and I'm not going to be a victim. Then I'm going to become your worst enemy. But at that point, if you can avoid it, I really have no ego to prove anything to anybody. Okay? So de-escalation is very important. Then let's say somebody doesn't want to de-escalate. You need to start to gradually, if you can, of course, maybe they go straight for your throat. There is nothing to de-escalate. You got to defend yourself. But verbal commands are very important. For example, let's visualize this scenario. You're walking, in the parking lot. It's night. There's somebody walking towards you, and he has a little shiny object in his hand. You don't know. Could be even lighter, could be nothing. Could be a knife, though. But you know what? He starts to scream at you now and ask you for money. Hey, what's up, bro? Give me some money. You know how they do. Would you like to have this person come close to you, even to get close enough to talk to you? I don't think so. What if really that person, instead of having a little, maybe, I don't know, a pack of cigarettes or maybe you have a lighter, they have a knife? They could slice your throat in a second. So at the same time, though, you cannot start shooting at him just because you think, or maybe because he looks suspicious, maybe he's just drunk. So what you do at this point? What do? We start to use verbal command. Start to give a very loud warning. Loud means loud. Rehearse this at home. Okay, don't just say, excuse me, can you stop it? No, shout, stop right there. Okay? At the same time, what you do, you lift your hands forward him like you're pushing him away. Why you have to do all this show? First of all, you scream loud, stop right there. The average person, let's say that person that is in good faith, is going to freak out and say, okay, sorry, I'm not going to come there close to you. Then, though, why this verbal, also this hand command? Because maybe the person is deaf. Guess what? That type of hands in front of you, pushing away, it's a universal command. Even if you're from Italy like me and don't speak English, I understand that. And more important, hopefully there are video cameras around and there are witnesses. And everybody can see that you're not the aggressor. You're trying to defuse this potential aggression situation. So that's very important. At that point, this person say, you know what, screw it. He doesn't listen to your command. He doesn't care about your visual command. He still keep walking and start to scream. Guess what? It's walking toward you. It's not close enough, but it's getting closer. You got to start to move some action now. At that point, what I would suggest to do, you present your gun to the ready. To the ready means not on target. On the ready means 45 degrees to the ground, finger off the trigger, and you scream, stop or I shoot. You show him that you are not a victim. You show him that you are not there to take it. You give him all the reasonable warning to stay the hell away from you. And this son of a crap, this parasitic bastard doesn't care. Okay, now you show him that you're ready to defend yourself. At this point, any normal person, even an average scumbag, would freak out. You know? Because you realize that you're serious. You're serious. You're ready to defend yourself. But at the same time, you didn't point a gun to anybody. That's very important. You didn't point a gun. But you have enough justification to say, I gave him the verbal command, I gave him the visual command, he didn't stop, he's coming close to me, I'm fearing for my life, and now I point my gun to the ready, stop or I shoot. That's the bottom line. At that point, normal person would just run or apologize. But maybe there's not a normal person, maybe this guy is on drugs. Maybe at this point is going to say, you know what? Scenario. You see you with a gun, stop or I shoot, and say, so what? And he pulls out a knife. Remember, in 21 feet can be covered by a regular scumbag in less than 2 seconds. So not just because the person is 21 feet away, with a knife they can catch you very easily. So at that point, it's up to you to decide if that situation fits the information I gave you before. Do we have a reasonable fear? Yes, this guy wants your money, asks you for the money, ignores your verbal commands to stay away. And it's night. There's nobody around. Is there an immediate danger? Yes, it's happening right now. Unavoidable. Yeah, you try to avoid it any way you could. You could not retreat. You're still outside the car. You couldn't get out in the car fast enough, maybe. Is any danger of death? Yes, the guy has a knife. And also told you he's going to kill you now. To an innocent person? Yes, you're an innocent person. So at that point, my friends, I really believe that you must follow the decision that we were talking at the beginning of this idea, of this chapter. Okay? It's time to decide if somebody is charging you with a knife. It's up to you. If you want to do Gandhi, you want to kill yourself, fine. But that's your personal choice. I'm not here to judge you. You got to do what you think is right for you. This is just a little, remembering what I wrote in this chapter. Of course, I cut it off a lot. It's just me remembering with my mind. I wrote it and read it many times, almost memorized it. Chapter 6, Moral and Mental Decision of to Use Deadly Force. From my coming handgun book, for self-defense, handgun training for self-defense, how to shoot any handgun fast and accurately for self-defense with a combat mindset by myself, Luca Zanna, professional firearms student. Okay, $2.99. The price probably of your frappuccino at that ridiculous place called Starbucks. You know, I don't like Starbucks very much. Their politics sucks, even their coffee anyway. So anyway, guys, listen, I appreciate your help, okay? I really do. And please, I need your support. This is not NPR. We do not steal your money through tax dollar. We do not coerce you to pay without your will. I hope you can support the station. The station is a commercial station. It's a private station. Is alive because people can, buy their products. So support the station. At the same time, you know that I am not part of the station. I'm an independent producer. And if you can support me, it's very simple. You can go to Zanna, ZANNA.us. Can download any of my music for 99 cents or buy my CDs. There's a small, beautiful package, 4 CDs for $25, free shipping. Or go to lovegunsfreedom.com. You can see I have different things for sale. Please, I need your help. Anyway, I want to leave you now with a little bit of music, and then we go for hour number 3. It's going to be all about love. Believe it or not, even when things seem to be tough, I really believe that we have to be a little tougher. So all I can say is this. If somebody's trying to mess with my computer, screw you. I'm going to do the show again and again. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna. Don't go away.
Here they come, they're coming for your guns. Here they come, they're coming for your sons. Here they come, they're coming for your land. Are you ready to stand? Are you ready to stand? Here they come, the end has just begun. Here they come, this time we won't run. Here they come, together we're not outdone. If we fight as one, if we fight as one, we'd rather live free for just one day than be your slaves, than be your slaves. We'd rather live free for just one day than obey. We're not afraid. The truth has risen. Our minds have no more prisons. Your illusions have disappeared. In the sun we have no fear. Now is our time.